Bowen, if you want to come back.
I was gonna ask a follow-up question, but I don't know. I don't know if Colette was born in a way where she was just very dedicated when she chose a path. She was just like, I'm gonna go all the way. So I think your personality comes through in this in a beautiful way. And I know some of it is spontaneous and it's natural, but could you share with us anything? I don't even want to, it's not really a technique, but things that like small bullet points that really got you on track to continue being and not, doing this and just getting hot and cold with the experience as this human.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. There definitely was a process. There definitely was a journeying. So there was that recognition of truth. And then there was the falling asleep again. And it's down to attention. So there was an invitation, a thought, a repetitive thought, something that was identified with or has the potential to be identified with. These invitations, like David says, tickets, conditioning. This idea of a me is just still going. And it's attention going towards them. I think that's really important to recognize. It's the attention that engages this movement of attention. So to begin with, there was the movement of attention. And as that movement goes towards the thought, that's where the I rises up and then is takes delivery of the experience. And then there is the experience. And at some point you recognize that looping and you come back. So the important thing there is that key when you recognize you've maybe adopted the I is to not pick the I straight back up again was very important because I could see how there's a thought straight afterwards saying, damn, I shouldn't have picked up that thought. That is another thought, another invitation back into the game of a me. So that was key. And then at that point also to recognize what's actual. So we're not denying what happened, but what's fundamentally true in this moment. So to not with a concept or a thought, an idea, but directly experience what you are. And I felt that unplugging from the game, turning towards what I was fundamentally, what's here always, the never changing, was key to, because you keep recognizing, or consciousness keeps recognizing itself over and over again in its natural state. I use the word state loosely. It's natural being. And you see that I just dies. And I would do the self-inquiry. I would say, who was suffering? Where's the I? But there comes a point where you don't need that anymore. You just recognize what you are, and it's just, you just notice that natural mode. And then, and I think then that just becomes your dominant mode the more you recognize it. So then as you turn towards the ever changing, it's what you fundamentally is established. So then the thoughts are offered up and they're like a record, 5 rooms away. You're just like, oh yeah, that old thing going. So it's not identified with, and there may be, and the only time that I investigate would be if something keeps coming back round. So I think we have to be very careful not to adopt the I that's got to do all this work. I think to look at what's appearing is to look at it from being, from the bigger picture, from the broader view, from rested back, from up down into the heart center, because then you're unplugged from the game, but you're not denying what's appearing. So if there is and you sort of know what you need to, So there's just a felt sense when you see somebody and you think, oh, that comes up every time. What is that? So interesting. So it's to be curious, not this one that's narrowed down and said, what is this? I don't like this. What? I've got to see through it. No, it's like, oh, wow, that keeps coming up every time I see that person. There is this contraction or some sort of something. So it's to do it from the open view and like, what even is that? So interesting. And it's just life learning about itself, learning about how it can experience. And these polarities give it chance to, because if we look at the absolute, it has no attributes. So is this whole game that it creates for itself in order to experience itself in the denser modes, in the, and also the sweetness of the journey. If we'd never experienced being contracted, we wouldn't know what freedom was. Total freedom. If we'd never experienced being this me that's like, I don't like this, and it's looking for itself outside of itself, it's grasping and wanting to control the moment, and then to just know that you don't need to do anything, that actually everything you ever wanted is already here, because what you are is whole and complete. Doesn't need anything. But you wouldn't know that without the opposites, without this game of duality, life wouldn't know that contrast. So it's actually really valuable, all the contrast, because you get the sweetness of waking up that from the, I'm not sure whether I answered your question. So let's see, was there anything else? And I think I was very determined because I just wanted the truth of my being. That was very, I just wanted to know the truth. I think it does start out that you don't want to suffer. So you're like, well, what's going on? Why am I suffering? This seems ridiculous. I can understand suffering over something big, but something small is ridiculous. So I think that was the, life was waking itself up then with this push and pull on itself. I'll open it up in case Bowen wants to come back or anybody else.